Hello, I'm John. Welcome to the Twin Sons Miniatures YouTube channel. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, helps the channel out. Apparently that's what all the YouTube guys say. Don't know, first time doing this. Let's see how this turns out. I'm going to run through a few models that I'm doing just now in a project that will hopefully lead me into next year. Keep watching if you want to see what's happening. So, currently on my ultra messy bench are three of Bandai's 1/72 scale Star Wars ships. The X-Wing, first seen in A New Hope. The A-Wing, first seen in Return of the Jedi. And of course, the instantly recognisable TIE Fighter, again, first seen in A New Hope. These are the first three of a run of the Bandai 1/72s that I'm planning on building and painting for a trip next year, or 2024, to the Star Wars Family Fun Day. Is it Family Fun Day or the Star Wars Fun Day? It's a fan run event that's done in the north of England. I think it's, I want to say, the Blackburn Rovers football stadium. I might be wrong. I'm shit at football. I don't know much about it. But I'm sure it's one of those stadiums up in the north of England anyway, which isn't too far from where I am in the southern reaches of Scotland. So the plan is to take these ships down here, hopefully set up a table and make these available to people who are collectors of Star Wars props and memorabilia. Okay, I know these are no props, but you know, that kind of stuff. People who are into collecting nice Star Wars stuff, and you know, the big studio scale things. You know, the models are really expensive, take up a lot of room. These don't take up as much room, these aren't as expensive, so it makes them a bit more accessible to people who are collectors and who like nice Star Wars stuff, you know, to display on shelves or offices and things like that. They'll also come with a nice wee custom base, nice black acrylic plinth, and a lovely brushed aluminium nameplate. The video that was posted previous to this, the first ever video I put up on my YouTube channel, or on my Instagram, you'll see the 1/60 scale Slave One that I just recently done for a customer. That came with the black plinth and the brushed aluminium plaque on it, so you'll see what they're going to be based on, obviously with the appropriate name. So that's really the aim of why I'm building these. I plan on getting some other ships. The B-Wing, hopefully, if I can get my hands on it. Can be quite expensive to get your hands on in the UK. But I've seen a few places recently that are doing them for a decent price. So I'll hopefully get myself one of them. And Y-Wing. No Star Wars set is going to be complete with the gorgeous Y-Wing. And Vader's TIE Fighter. And of course, there's a TIE Interceptor that's available again. Not as readily available in the UK as some of the other stuff, so can be a bit more expensive. But again, I've been looking about, I've seen a few ships that are a bit cheaper, so we'll see how that goes. But hopefully we'll get a wee run of them. In terms of painting, now, they'll be base coated in, you'll see the black Vallejo surface primer there. This is what I'm base coating them in. ILM, when they made the models, I believe, they were moulded or cast in a black resin or plastic or whatever, so I figured that's a good place to start with. They may have been primed in grey afterwards, I don't know, I've not done all the research into it, or much research into it, but, you know, for what I gather, it was all made in the sort of black plastics and resins and things like that, so that's where I'm starting in my mind. And also, I feel that black primers help lend to that sort of dirtier look underneath paints that Star Wars is quite rightly famous for. In terms of the actual paints on, you'll see on the nose cone there's a wee bit of paint already laid down. It was just some, it was in my airbrush for a previous model I was painting. So we're going with the Archive X paints. Guy Cowan, a legend in my book, if you ask me, has took it upon himself to create this range of paints based on the original Flopill paints that are now no longer available, railroad paints, that ILM used back in the sort of late 70s and early 80s to paint Star Wars. You know, we've got the colour palette there, the reds, the greens and stuff, like some of the blues and things like that, and of course the kind of earthier tones and the greys. That's not all the paints, this is just what I've collected so far. I'm in the process of getting more. They're not the cheapest paints in the world, but I'm certainly not complaining because the quality of them is outstanding. And value for money, I'd actually say that is definitely the case, because you get 30 mils per pot, whereas your wee Vallejo numbers, they're only 17 mil, and they're 4 quid, 3-4 quid a pop maybe, versus 8 quid. I don't know, I think that seems decent value for me, and it's a thicker paint as well. Nice quality stuff. Anyway, by the by, we're not here to sell Guy's Archive X paints. He's not commissioning me or anything like that, so that's all we're doing on that now. Anyway, so paint technique is the next thing I want to very briefly talk about, and we'll see that developing as this project goes along. Is based on ILM style of painting. Everything's done with the trusty airbrush. It's not a flash fancy airbrush. It's I think it's a harder than Steenbeck, but it's marketed by Vallejo. I think it cost maybe 80 quid. But it's a nifty wee airbrush, and it's served me well so far. So the technique involves purely laying the paint down by airbrush and masking. Very, very little brushwork involved at all, if anything at all. And it's applying your base colours, and then from there misting off. John Simmons, I've been watching a lot of his videos. Really, I've learned this technique for him. So if you really want to see how a real professional does this, he's your man to go and watch his videos. They're incredible. It's about laying down your colours and then softening off the intensity of those colours, or knocking them back, as John would describe it. And it takes the sort of stark, bright contrast of the colours, fades that off a wee bit, and we're adding misting layers of grime and dirt and filth and rust, and then blast marks and things like that. So it's not your traditional, laying down the colours, panel washes, all that sort of stuff that you would do when you're painting tanks and aircraft and stuff like that. It's a different technique altogether. I'm very much right in my infancy at learning how to do this. I've painted models when I was a wee guy, not always very good, hasten I add. In my teenage years, I got into painting Warhammer stuff. I've got a wee project ongoing at the minute with Warhammer stuff. You'll see my Instagram, for a client who is an avid gamer. They're not quite as into the painting as I have been, and so they asked me to start painting their army for them, so I've been working on that. Great wee project, really enjoyable. Get a chance to paint something I don't normally paint, which is nice. But if anybody that knows me, Star Wars has always been my passion for as long as I can remember. And my wee guy, my son, he's getting into it as well. My daughter, well, my daughters, they like it, don't mind it, but my wee boy is absolutely obsessed. A bit like his old man, so I'm not going to complain there. Anyway, you can see I've not quite finished base coating this yet. There's still the original colours coming through there, so I'm still working on that just now. Once that's done, I'll start laying down some paint. The next clip of the video that we'll see shall feature a bit more progress, hopefully, on the ships. And, if you like what you see, it'd be good if you could, give me a wee like. Head on over to my Instagram page, Twin Sons Miniatures, and you'll see some of the stuff I've been doing in the past. It's not just Star Wars stuff. I've been doing some model railway stuff. My old man's got his model railway that he had set up, pulled apart and started again because he wasn't happy with it, which fair enough, he's got the time, he's retired. So I've been doing a couple of wee things here and there for him, weathering a few trains and stuff like that. So that's all good airbrush practice for me, because I've only been using an airbrush for, I don't know, about 18 months, 2 years maybe tops. I was always frightened it before in the past, like a lot of people. Seen a few guys using airbrushes, and I thought, actually, I think I could probably do that. Watched a couple of tutorials and the kind of basics of how to operate and clean an airbrush. And I just went for there, got myself an airbrush. Well, actually, I was gifted it as a birthday present, a rather generous birthday present, hasten I add. An airbrush and a compressor, and I've since bought myself an additional airbrush, this wee harder Steenbeck one I was talking about a wee minute ago. And I just went for there, and I've really, really enjoyed it. It's opened up a whole new world of possibilities. Up until that, previously, I was always a brush painter, and I still do paint with brushes, but airbrush is the way forward for projects like this, certainly. I would say essential, actually, for Star Wars style painting. Anyway, I've rabbited on enough. You probably lost interest and switched off by now. And if you've no, thanks very much for listening to me talking a lot of shite. Stay tuned.